Here we are again.
We're back.
You, me, New York Times, #1 bestseller. You guys helped us get here.
Thank you so much, everybody. This is an unbelievable experience. Holly and I have an unbelievable journey we've been on. The last time we talked to you was I think in June.
At the Sphere.
Yeah, at the Sphere in Vegas. And here we are, what, 5 months later? And our book is out. Heart Life Music. Holly and I have been going all over the country talking to people in theaters and just telling the story and this journey. And we just wanted to come back and say hello and say thank you for being a part of our New York Times #1 best-selling book. I never, ever, ever saw that coming in my life, ever. Holly and I have talked about writing this book for a while and maybe the idea of it one day, but never in my life did I think that we would do it and it be received like it's been received.
Honestly, never in my life did I think he was going to do it. So, I mean, miracles are happening. And because this has been such a big part of our journey, we wanted to come back and have another chat. It's Black Friday.
Well, we really didn't. I mean, when we chatted the last time, we really didn't have a great. We had a great chat.
We had a great chat,
but it wasn't as in depth with the book as it will be today, because we have dove into this book so many times, and every time we talk about it, I think of something different. But when we first started in Vegas, it was all brand new to me and to us, and so now I feel like we have our lingo down.
Well,
a little better.
Let's tell the truth. When we were talking in Vegas, we had just cut between 40 and 50,000 words.
Right, we weren't even really done.
We hadn't figured out what was left.
Right.
So we're here. We've done.
It's good to see you guys again. We're back.
14 cities,
yes.
And had so much fun.
I had fun. What was your favorite city? Well, we can't really say that.
They were all my
they are
favorite.
all great. The Philadelphia venue was beautiful.
Gorgeous.
Boston was great. The thing that we started the whole book tour was where I went to college at East Tennessee State University in Johnson City, Tennessee. And it was almost a full circle thing, because that's where I first, as you read in the book, that's where I first got into the business at all. I mean, I was playing, I was learning, I was creating, I don't know, that's where it all started for me. And we went there first. So that was really
to the place where you got your doctorate.
Yes.
Dr. Chesney.
Yeah. Now look, if you'd have told me when I was in school, because I was a pretty good student my freshman year, and then I started playing music, and then I started playing in a lot of different places, and I was playing music 3-4 nights a week, and I was a very average, maybe below average student after I started playing music. So fast forward to this moment in my life now, or this time last year, I got the call and they said, we want to give you an honorary doctorate. And I'm going, oh wow, maybe they haven't checked my grades since I graduated. But that happened, and I could only just imagine, the whole time I was thinking, imagine me telling my band and crew that have been out on the road with me for all these years that they have to address me as Dr. Chesney. And so I told them, I asked them to do it. It didn't go over well, but
now you're a New York Times #1 best-selling author.
This is crazy. Thank you guys very much for that. It's insanity to wrap my brain around that. I really truly haven't done it yet. I mean, somebody brought it up today, and I went, congratulating me, and I went, it just feels like a dream.
Right. You probably went, what city are we going to next?
Yeah.
So, and it's been fun. I mean, we were in Miami at the book fair. We were in Key West, where
that was fun.
Lucy Buffett, Jimmy's sister, came.
Yeah, and David Wegman, who has his own chapter in the book. And Key West has been a really an unbelievable creative place for me over the years. It was one of the reasons that I was drawn to that place anyway, was the literary part of it. Hemingway is one of my favorite authors, and so to be down there in that space, I played a lot of music down there over the years, but never came into the literary world at all until the other night, and it was really beautiful.
Yeah, the Key West Literary Seminar. Arlo Haskell actually introduced you.
Arlo did.
we wrote almost a third of the book down there. So there's that too.
There's that too.
So, all right. When we started doing this book, you didn't really know what it was. You weren't even sure there was a book.
Right.
So now that we're done and we have this, what did you learn about who you are, what your life was?
Well, one of the things that I've learned, I mean, I've been very blessed. You know, first of all, to have music in my life at any level. You know, I wanted to be in sports. I had sports in my life since I was a kid until I was a senior in high school. And I played my last high school football game, and I knew it was over. You know, and this story's in the book also. I kept my shoulder pads on for a good hour because I knew my life was changing, and there was nothing I could do to stop it. That was the first time in my life that I felt that. And so it was just all those things. Like I had sports in my life, but I never knew that music was going to take me down this journey, down this road. And in the process of writing this book with you, I have, you know, been forced to reflect and to, honestly, I mean, I feel so grateful that to have music in my life, but it's the one thing I learned about writing this book was just how important creativity as a whole is in my life, and the people that came along with me because of creativity and how much fun we had doing it. And there was just, I mean, I'm just so blessed in so many ways.
This is a fun book. I will tell you that. This is a fun book.
Yeah, I mean, like when you crack this book open, you're going to go to a lot of places, and we can talk about this later if you want.
Well, let me do the cheesy part. Ready?
Okay, do the cheesy part.
So, if you're watching on Talk Shop Live, this is really important. Hit the shop button to get your signed copy of Heart Life Music. Really easy. If you're on Facebook or Instagram, comment the word shop, just shop. 4 little letters, does it all. You will receive a link. You can get your autographed copy. But wait, there's more. If you're at YouTube, if you're there, all you have to do is click the link in the description in the YouTube to order. So you'll see it, just click. You've been signing a lot of books.
Look, I've did it all Thanksgiving, and so I think we're ready.
Okay, because I don't want your mom to be mad at me if you don't get your book signed. But it's just, that's why we're here, is this is our way of you giving a gift for everybody giving you a gift. So, back to how much fun music filled in a lot of gaps for you. Even when you were the boy athlete, you were rocking out to Steve Miller and
But I was always, music was so much a part of my life, but I didn't know it was going to be my life.
Right.
It was always, whatever higher power you believe in, it was always tapping me on the shoulder, saying,
hello,
this is going to be, you know, it was introducing music every now and then to my life, even though I thought sports was going to be it.
And what happened to sports, Kenny?
Well, here's what happened to sports. Here's why I was in high school, you know, with my shoulder pads on, knowing that my life in sports was over. I was this size, basically, when I was a freshman in high school.
Right.
And which thought, I went, wow, I might be an athlete, okay? And that got me excited, and that's all I thought about was sports. And then, my sophomore year, I was this size. My junior year, I was this size. So basically, I quit growing. Everybody else, you know, turned into athletes. But like I said, whatever higher power that you believe in had a different plan.
So God stunted your growth.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I think so, on purpose.
This is a breakthrough, and you're seeing it on Talk Shop Live.
Yeah, but yeah. So I you know, but I always had music in my grandmother's house. I had music in church, in school. The guy that's my road manager now has been a part of my life ever since I was this tall. His name's David Farmer, and he had a pool table in his garage, and we would sit, and he also had a really big stereo system with big speakers. It was great, and we would sit and play pool and listen to music, and we would take those pool sticks, and we knew every Eddie Van Halen lick there was to know on a pool stick.
Oh, boy.
Right? So, I mean, I just loved that music. I loved AC/DC, and then I loved country. I loved Leonard Skinner. I loved Conway. I loved George Strait. I loved Alabama. All of a sudden, I was being just overwhelmed with music. even though I didn't know why.
Right.
And so I had music there, and then you fast forward a little bit and you go to college. Now in East Tennessee, I did not know the genius of Bruce Springsteen or Jimmy Buffett or Bob Marley and the Wailers, but when I got to college, I was introduced to that, in the clubs or in the fraternity house or somebody playing that music at the apartment complex, whatever. And that's where, and then I started trying to write songs, and I realized the genius of Bruce and Jimmy, who are huge influences in my life.
And if you get the book, because if you haven't, you're missing out, you're going to see these artists weave in and out of Kenny's life as people that you see that beckon you without you knowing why, as friends that you make, as mentors.
No question. Look, Bruce Springsteen and Jimmy and they were the first people that taught me that it was possible to write your own songs and then go out on stage and give it to the world. And I am so thankful for that, and to even say that you know them on any level, much less become friends on any level. And in Jimmy's case, for sure, I was able to create with him and share multiple stages with Jimmy and become friends. That was one of the craziest things ever. The first time I met Jimmy was with Holly in Las Vegas. I was playing the MGM Grand. No, I was playing Mandalay Bay. Jimmy was playing the MGM Grand across the street. And Holly and I went over to say hi to Jimmy. And that was the first time that I ever met Jimmy Buffett. I was really scared, nervous, because when you meet a hero and when you meet someone that you really look up to, you hope, whether it's fair or not, you hope that they are who you think they are. Mm-hmm. And not only did Jimmy meet where I thought he was, he exceeded it. Right. And the same with Bruce. When I met Bruce, he was so humble, and he was almost like a big brother there for a little while. You know? Was. And all those stories, of me, having these heroes that I looked up to in college. To think that one day that I would on any level know them, or on any level them know my name on any level, it's just unbelievable to me.
Jason, first of all, the questions that are coming in are so good, and we won't be able to do them all, but I'm going to grab a few, and a lot of people are congratulating you on the number one, because it is a big deal. Jason actually wants to know, are there any stories about your friendship with Jimmy? Like, how many Jimmy Buffett stories do you think are in the book? 5?
3?
6?
I don't know. Well, I mean, the first one is when I first moved to Nashville, and I was living in a room that my friend Lynn, who I was in a bluegrass band with in college, she was living. She was renting this house, and she let me have a room for a while, and some of my friends that I'd met was taking a party bus to see Jimmy Buffett.
Of course.
And asked me if I wanted to go. And I said, of course I want to go. And so all of a sudden I'm in the grass area, because that's where everybody goes when you can't afford the covered seat. And I certainly couldn't at the time. I had zero money. And so that was my first experience seeing Jimmy. But the thing that made it so great was I'd seen several concerts in high school and in college. But that was the first time that I saw an individual stand up on stage and love his audience with everything that he had and the band. And I'd never seen that before, ever in my life. And after the show was over and when I finally got back to the house, I was lying in bed, and there's a chapter in this book dedicated to that night, and it's called What Did I Just See? Because I was lying in bed that night going, what was that? What did I just see? Because I'd never seen somebody do that. And that night, in ways, sent me down a different direction as an artist and as a creative person. For sure
tapped your positive energy. Because here's this terrible night, and Jimmy makes everybody feel like, even in the monsoon, there's nowhere you'd rather be.
It was pouring rain, and it was a terrible night. But it was almost like as if, and I learned that watching him, like it was almost as if the worse the elements, the more he gave. And that was my first Jimmy experience. And there was a lot in the book we could talk about. This whole thing could be about that. But he was a friend and a hero and a mentor and all kinds of things.
It was And one of the things I think Kenny does really generously, because I'm not going to Sammy Hagar's birthday party. That's not happening for me. Not only did you go, you were the house band, 3 hours, 42 minutes. Not that anyone was keeping score. You, from the second you hit Mexico until the sun comes up after the party's over.
We had so much fun.
It's all in the book.
Now, I was playing Ohio State's basketball arena in Columbus, Ohio. We had the night off before we played the arena. On our night off, Van Halen was playing the same arena. So my concert promoter was promoting their show also. His name's Louis Messina. Louis got us passes to go see Van Halen. Well, me and my band, I mean, it was. I don't know if you guys ever saw Wayne's World or Beavis and Butthead, but that's what we were like walking in backstage. And there was Eddie who had his shirt off and his guitar, and his hair was down here, and we were like, oh, we're not worthy. We're not worthy moment. And then all of a sudden, Sammy Hagar comes around the corner, and he acted like he had known me his whole life.
Yeah.
And that's the first time that I saw Sammy's soul and his spirit and his heart. I mean, he's just so warm and humble and full of positive energy and love and
rock.
Rock and roll. I mean, that was an awesome show. And then a few months later, he invited me to come to Cabo for his birthday. And nobody celebrates his birthday like Sammy.
Nobody.
So there we were in October of that year playing Sammy's birthday party. After the party, after we got off stage, we played probably 3 or 4 hours. We went to a bar called Squid Row.
Which on the book tour, I'm shocked at the people who know Squid Row.
Yeah, some people did.
Yeah.
But I went home alone that night, left the band and everybody there because I felt something in my head and my soul just kind of rumbling around. And I didn't know what it was, but it felt like it was a song or something that I just had, sometimes as a creative person, whether it was a journal entry or a song or whatever, you just got to get it out.
Right.
And so I went back to the house that Sammy got us, and I took my guitar out of the case, and I got a notepad, and I can just see it still. The lights of Cabo were out, and it was probably midnight, 1 in the morning.
Or later.
Probably. And I started writing down everything I was feeling and thinking, back at the club. And after about an hour and a half, right around when the rest of the band and everybody got back, I almost had Beer in Mexico finished. And that's the night that I wrote Beer in Mexico. But had it not been, look, I truly believe that we're all connected in ways that we don't even know. I really believe that. And that's proof. Had I not met Sammy Hagar that night on my night off in Columbus, Ohio, he would not have invited me to come to Cabo. And I probably wouldn't have written Beer in Mexico. So it's everything is connected. And there's a lot of that connective tissue, if you will, in this book and how it has threaded my life. And so I just very thankful that Sammy invited me to Cabo that night because a song, truly, it was a snapshot of my soul at the time. I was 36 years old, and I left Cabo knowing that I had a snapshot of it written down. And
you also, I think, made peace with the fact that your dream and your drive and your desire was maybe not like most typical 36-year-old people.
Well, right. I mean, I had a lot of my band and crew there, and they have families and kids, and and I'm sitting there going, The reason I wrote that song was because I was almost being a little hard on myself because I hadn't figured it out yet. But then I realized that I don't have to figure it out. I just played Sammy Hagar's birthday party. Your life may be a little different, and it has been. And so, but that's where that song was born.
And can I do something really crummy? Tell everybody what Sammy texted you when he read the book. Because it's so sweet.
Well, I mean, he was really thankful, I mean, he goes, I can't believe you said all those great things about me, but Sammy has been that person for me. I mean, he has been a big brother. He has been someone to talk to. He has been down every road that I've gone down, and with style and fun and with this rock and roll energy. And he's amazing. I mean, he's one of my favorite people in the world.
Yeah, it was such a great text. It was something like, you're putting so much pressure on me.
Oh,
be
yeah,
the
he did
guy
say
that you
something
said
like-
I was. It was amazing. I don't get texts like that.
Maybe I did put a little pressure on him, but yeah, I meant everything I said about him in this book.
No,
I mean, all of it's really true.
You meant everything you said about everybody in this
Yeah,
book.
that's true. I did.
It's interesting because when you talk about how there are all these things that are written down, and there are all these people who show up in your life for different reasons, one of your great bromances is Sean Payton.
Yeah.
I mean, the fun in this book that he has with Sean Payton.
Look, I first met Sean Payton. He was quarterback coach for the New York Giants. We were playing in Albany, New York. They were in training camp. That's where we first connected. Then he went to Dallas. And then Sean got the head coaching job for the New Orleans Saints. And that's when I decided, in a way that I could, spend time with my father, I bought a suite in the New Orleans Superdome. And by then, Sean and I had become really good friends. And this story is in the book. This was December the 23rd, whatever year it was.
Oh. Ho.
Yep. And it was around this time of year. And
I'm laughing
after the game, it was a night game in New Orleans, and Sean and I go out after the game. This is Christmas Eve. It's December 23rd. I had to be at my grandmother's house because we always do Christmas on the 24th at her house ever since I was a little boy, and up until the day she died. We did December 24th Christmas at her house. Well, the night before, December 23rd, at 2 a.m., or I guess it was technically Christmas Eve, but it was 2 a.m.
2 a.m.
around that we are at a bar in New Orleans and called Pat O'Brien's, and Sean's wife at the time came and literally drug him out of that bar. She goes, "Sean, you have to come home. It's Christmas," and I had to go. I had to fly to Knoxville and be alert and present for my grandmother's, Christmas Eve. Well, I didn't go well. I felt terrible. And when I got to her house, I went into her spare bedroom and went to sleep, and I missed all of Christmas. My mother was so upset with me because I'd been on the road all year, and I'd been home just maybe twice. So I hadn't spent any time, and that Christmas Eve, I missed all of it because I was asleep in her spare bedroom. That's how much fun me and Sean has had. Now Sean's head coach for the Broncos in Denver, but we've had so much fun. And he's just an unbelievable friend of mine.
And what's amazing about Sean, the way these stories come around and around and around, I know because I wrote them, when you hit bottom, right, and The Boys of Fall is this song that at least speaks to the heart of high school football, first, he shows up for your music video.
Right. Yeah, I was really tired after the 2009 tour, and I took 2010 off. And that was just a gift because that's when we had the song Boys of Fall cut, but we didn't know it was going to turn into a thing. It turned into an ESPN documentary. But Sean was a huge part of that. Right. And it was the energetic, it was the creative spark that I needed to get back going, because I was really tired of 2009. And the whole Boys of Fall experience, it wasn't just a song. It was a piece of my journey. It was unbelievable.
It reached back to football
Yeah.
for you.
And Sean was a big part of that. And he went to his high school in Naperville, Illinois, and gave the pregame speech at the high school that he went to.
The most amazing speech.
I can't imagine being a kid playing high school and seeing Sean Payton give me a speech before their football game, But
and it's in the book.
Yeah, there's just a lot of music and sports has consumed my life, and I believe to this day that music and sports bring people together more than anything that we have in our lives, and that's been my dad was a coach. My mom gave me music. My dad gave me sports. I feel like my mother gave me positive energy and love and the ability to spread that to a lot of people. And we were in Foxborough, Massachusetts at the end of the tour in 2024. And my mom's a twin, and their name is Sharon and Karen. And Sharon and Karen were over on the stage left, and I looked over, and I had 60,000 people in front of me, and it just hit me. I'd never thought about it before. I looked over and saw my mom, and it just made sense to bring her out on stage to let all those people see the source of what was happening between me and the audience. But it's not me. It was a gift given to me by my mother. And so a lot of that is in this book too, and the way I was brought up. I was brought up in East Tennessee. I lived with my grandparents for 3 or 4 years when I was a kid, and that was where I first heard bluegrass music, because my grandmother went to work in the school cafeteria when I was going to school. And so we would leave early because she would have to go prep in the kitchen at my elementary school. And that's when I first heard bluegrass music on the TV. And it was stunned. You know, I'd heard music in church, but I'd never heard 3-part harmony like that. And that driving rhythm in music. And so that's an example of, okay, I know I love that. I don't know what it is, but it was like God going, okay, later on, you know. And then I went to
You'll be back.
Yeah, we'll be back. I went to high school, and you know, music wasn't a part of my life at all. And then I got into college, and I started playing guitar. I didn't start playing guitar until I was sophomore in college. And so
really playing guitar.
The next thing,
because you played a little bit when you
were but I wasn't really. I mean, I didn't know how to. I had no chops at all. But when I was a sophomore in college, I started playing in the ETSU Bluegrass Band, and a guy named Jack Tottle, who was a mentor of mine and taught me how to play guitar. That's where my whole life changed, all of it. And I'm so thankful for that. You know, it was just, I was supposed to go to East Tennessee State. I was supposed to meet Jack Tottle. I was supposed to play in that bluegrass band. Now look, this is the only university in the country that allows a student to take those kind of courses. Right? It doesn't exist anywhere else. So
bluegrass and old time music.
Yeah, they had a course in bluegrass music, which was the music that I initially loved in my grandmother's kitchen, you know, but didn't know years later that I was going to come back around to it. And then that led me to everything. All of a sudden, I'm playing in a Mexican restaurant for tips, and I'm playing at a place called Quarterback's Barbecue, and then I would play some places up in Galax, Virginia, and I would literally go to the music store, rent all the equipment, put it in the back of my truck. I mean, everything that I needed, the cables, everything. And I would go set up in some restaurant or bar, and I would be the guy playing in the corner for tips for 4 hours. And then I would...
Tips appreciated.
Tips appreciated. Well, speaking of Jimmy, I got so sick of playing Margaritaville, I said, tips appreciated, but Margaritaville, $20.
Jimmy is all over this book.
So, yeah, so even then, I owe Jimmy Buffett. You know?
Organically, not just marketing.
Yeah, but and then I would drive back to Johnson City. I would sleep in my truck until the music store opened, and then I would return the gear I rented, and then I would go through a drive-through at Burger King or McDonald's, and I would get a breakfast sandwich, and then I would go to class. That was my life for 3 years in Johnson City.
And you were living the life.
And I loved it. I mean, I truly loved it. Music. That's when music started to consume my life, and the idea of writing songs and giving the world something. That's the one thing I love most about creativity, and it's truly a gift to be able to give the world something, to write something and give the world something the next day or that day that didn't exist yesterday.
Right.
That's one of the most amazing things that you can do, or I believe that. You know?
I think so.
I think so.
And it's amazing how your kid sitting on a bar stool, let's say on a lower Broadway that was desolate and kind of falling apart and funky. Do you think that kid could have ever imagined rocking a football stadium?
Oh, never. No, I you know, when I was in college playing for tips and at a Mexican restaurant, look, I was playing for tips and all, you know, I have a few enchiladas before I started and whatever I wanted to drink, but I didn't drink a lot. You know, I was drinking at the time. I haven't had it in years, but I was drinking a lot of Mountain Dew.
I knew you were going to say that.
And so
That's not in the book.
That's not in the book. But that's just what I did, and I absolutely fell in love with the idea of that, and that's where it started. And I truly, I feel so blessed.
So what did that kid dream?
That
kid dreamed what?
That kid dreamed maybe getting a record deal and having a song on the radio so his friends would think he was cool. And a few people back home, and that probably didn't think it was going to happen.
That you're crazy.
Yeah, I was thinking I was crazy. I feel like even my family thought this was something that I was going to do for a year and
get
come
out of
back
your system.
and get it out of my system.
Yeah.
But I've got 4 guys with me that I grew up with that work with me and for me and out here they've been a part of my life. Jamie Rayleigh, David Farmer, Tim Holt, and Daryl Hobby. All those guys, I grew up with them. And we were college roommates, went to high school together, and then when I got to a point where I was going to do this, I called them. David and Tim were working in a credit union in Knoxville, Tennessee.
Real jobs, real lives.
With families and kids, and look, for me to take this leap of faith is one thing. But for them, it was a completely different leap of faith.
Right.
Because I didn't have kids. I didn't have a family. All I had, music was my baby. And that was a completely different scenario for them. So we thought that, let's just go try it. Let's just go on the road. Let's go play some places that our heroes played. Just to say we did it.
Just to say we did.
And then if it doesn't work, fine. But at least we did that. And when we played the Sphere this year, look, we thought it was only going to be 1 or 2 years.
Right.
But when we did Sphere this summer in Vegas, it was our 32nd year of doing it together, which is crazy. But if you had told those kids when we were young and had no idea where this journey was going to take us, if I was going to play a football stadium full of people and do it for 20 years, that we'd told you were crazy.
Right. It's kind of nuts.
Yeah.
But the book starts with you laying in the yard dreaming. You don't even know what you're dreaming. And I think one of the lessons of the book, and it's not a preachy book, is if you just keep dreaming, if you just keep looking down the road instead of going, whoa, dig me, I did.
Yeah.
The number of dreams that keep opening up in this book, it's a little nuts.
Yeah, like I said, when I grew up with my grandmother, and she had a big backyard, and I would go out there, and especially in the summer, because where we lived, you didn't get any light pollution from Knoxville there was no big city. And when it was clear, you could see forever. And ironically, it was a lot of I've been in the Virgin Islands now a lot of my adult life, and it's just like being on the bow of a boat. When you're out in the middle of the sea and you look up and you see the same sky, you see the same stars. And I'm the same person dreaming still today as I was as a 5 and 6-year-old in her backyard, looking up at the sky, wondering if there was anything past the roads that I knew to go down. And there were only a few. And it was the road to school, it was the road to church, and it was the road to the ballpark. And that's the only place I knew where to go. But I was really curious as to what was out there, and honestly, I still am. Maybe I've never met them, but there's somebody in my family tree that was an adventurer, that was a dreamer, that was a gypsy, that was a seeker, that was an island soul and a creative soul. And it's crazy that I have that growing up in the Smoky Mountains, but it's very authentic. And I don't know that it's anybody in my initial family tree right now, but I guarantee you.
Your mom, the Grigsby twins.
Yeah, but maybe so. And maybe my mom felt that way. I didn't know it, But the idea of adventure,
right,
and being like my friend Dave Wegman down in Key West, and so
Wegman is a whole other thing.
I don't know where I got that from. I really don't.
If you're watching on Talk Shop Live, this is super easy. Hit the shop button. You'll see it right there. You can get your signed copy of Heart Life Music. If you're on Facebook or Instagram, all you have to do is comment the word shop, and they will make the link magically appear. If you're on YouTube, just click the link in the description in YouTube. You'll see the link, and you can order it that way. Since we're here, they might want to get a copy of the book if they haven't already. Or they're good Christmas presents. Just look at that tree. It's amazing the ground you cover. We have a question from Delaney. This is a big one, so get ready.
Okay.
She wants to know, what was the craziest duet? Was it Cracker, Grace, Dave Matthews, or the Wailers? What do you think was the
craziest one?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I guess to show you how that we're all, like I said earlier, how we're all connected that we don't even know.
Right.
I mean, me growing up in East Tennessee and the Wailers growing up in Jamaica, you couldn't get any different. But when we played music, you know, it was the same notes. Kind of the same with Grace Potter. She grew up in Vermont. I grew up in East Tennessee. We never really talked about it. We just know we're different, you know. But when we went to sing, it worked. And I think the same thing with me and Dave Matthews. We've never talked about religious beliefs or political beliefs because honestly, we don't talk about those things when we see each other.
Right.
You know, we talk about our audience and giving them what we think we should give them and creativity. I don't know, maybe the one that came really out of left field was Pink. Like I sang with Pink on Setting the World on Fire, and I never saw that coming either. So I'm still really happy and glad we did that.
Yeah, it wasn't on Delaney's list, but that's interesting. I think just all those stories are here, but when listening to you talk about it right now, you know, there are three things I think all those people have in common. They're all about love and positive power and energy. They're a lot about family.
You're talking about Grace and the Wailers and
Dave Matthews?
And Dave Matthews, yeah.
Yeah,
and
I mean,
Jimmy
community, those things. And then the third thing is, even though every one of them would go in a bin if they still had record stores, right? None of them are just one kind of music. Even the Wailers were kind of something more.
Yeah, I mean, I was, the first time I did anything with them was for a song called Everybody Wants to Go to Heaven, but Nobody Wants to Go Now. And now you take a kid in college that had heard Bob Marley and the Wailers and heard this music and realized that it was probably the most universal music that I believe so anyway that was ever made, because no matter where you grew up, you can find something within all of that and apply it to your life. It was just like you said, it was just a love. Every song was full of love and positive energy almost. And to know that as an adult that you're going to be in Jamaica with those guys and to be creating with them and be in Bob's studio and to be setting on a beach. After we were done with the music video and the song, I sat there with the bass player of the Wailers that created this music with Bob Marley. His name was Ashton Family Man Barrett. Right. And Family Man and I became really great friends over the years. He passed a couple years ago, but Fams and I sat on the beach on the North Shore of Jamaica after we were done, and I bet we talked for an hour and a half. Just listening to the waves crash is one of my favorite moments of my life, of my creative life anyway, because I mean, we're really not supposed to know each other.
Right.
And that's kind of the thread of this book but we do, right? And there's so many people in my life that I don't know that I was supposed to meet. I don't know if that 5-year-old that was lying on his back outside his grandmother's house in her backyard could look into the future and see that I was going to meet all these people that gave so much love and energy and music to the world. And it's interesting that those are the people that I have created with. Right. And have built their own community. And that's just been one of the most amazing things. But the idea of a kid growing up in East Tennessee and meeting them and creating with them and sharing the stages with them has been one of the most amazing things.
Them loving you enough to come to Nashville.
Yes.
They did the CMA Awards with you.
Yeah,
they played Tootsies with you. Like, that's love.
Yeah,
that's
it's friendship.
Love.
It's love and friendship and respect, you know?
Yeah, and they were so good.
Great.
They were so good. I mean, I don't think Tootsies has been the same.
Yeah, and you know what? I mean, I sang with Bob's son, Ziggy. You know, after the Hurricane Irma in the Virgin Islands, I made a record to help the U.S. and the British Virgin Islands and the relief efforts, and it was called Songs for the Saints. And on that record, I sang with Jimmy Buffett, Mindy Smith, and Bob's son Ziggy. And so, look, Ziggy has a much different upbringing than me, right? But when we sang together, it was one. I mean, it's like we were brothers.
Truly.
Yeah.
And that's one of the beautiful things about the book. When you write these books, you talk a lot and you reflect a lot, and then I have to go think about what we really said to each other.
Yeah.
And one of the things that emerged that was so beautiful was this idea that if you lead with your heart, Life Music, we have so much more in common. Especially
in a world that's divided, And so I think that now.
Yeah.
I think that, that's the thing. Like Holly used to end every email with Heart Life Music. And why did you do that? I know why. I think I know why.
Well, partially because I wanted to keep you grounded in the things that I thought mattered and the things I saw in you.
Because my life was really changing, and it was changing really fast. And it's easy for any act to beat your chest and talk about numbers and money made, but that wasn't what we were about. We were about the heart of it all and how much life we were giving to an audience. Like, I've never been the kind of person to talk about grosses per show or whatever. We want to talk about the joy that was had between us and the smiles and everybody, between the band and the audience. And to me, that's what Heart Life Music is living your life authentically, whatever's in your heart, and applying your life to it. And for me, I've been very lucky to have music to be the thread of all of it. And that's why we titled this book Heart Life Music, because that's truly, my whole adult life has been that.
It's a life plan.
Yeah, it's a roadmap for in a lot of ways. It could be a life plan, or it could also be, look, if you're a dreamer out there and you have, it doesn't have to be music. It could be whatever it is, that if you're lying in your own backyard, outside your grandmother's house, and you're a kid and you have a dream, this is a roadmap to do it a different way than some people are doing it now, in a viral way. This is slowly but surely bringing your friends along, hard work. This is not the easiest way to do it.
But it will last.
But it's, in my opinion, the best way to do it.
Yeah, and I think in a world where everybody wants it all now, this shows you how not to lose heart.
Yeah, and I think it's only human nature to want it all now, just so you know. But this
you
shows
did.
you, I
you
did
did.
too.
It's in the book.
Yeah.
He wanted it all now.
Yeah.
It's actually kind of funny. I can laugh now because it's over. But, there's a lot of human nature in the book. And there's a lot of, if you want to build it to last versus just be a viral moment.
Yeah.
Because I think real songwriters who, you said a really cool thing, I think you said it in Chicago, that the best songs come from real life. When you were talking about Beer in Mexico.
Yeah.
That was, you grabbed what you were going through and you turned it not into a party song, but kind of an existential
piece of me.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's where I think the best songs come from, for sure. I have been a part where we all get in a room and make up stuff. That's just what we do as creative people. But the best songs come from real, lived life. And my best songs have come from that, I know for sure. With the songs that I wrote, like I Go Back or Beer in Mexico or Old Blue Chair, whatever it is, the best ones are really lived.
Actually, Mindy wants to know, of all the songs you've written, what is the one you're the most proud of? Or which one made the biggest difference?
Well, Beer in Mexico, like I said earlier, was a snapshot of my life. I was 36 years old when I wrote it. And it was, as my life was really changing, and I didn't know where it was going. And I didn't know where any of it was taking me. I just knew that I believed it was going to be okay, and that I didn't have to figure it all out at that moment. And that's what Beer in Mexico was all about. But aside from that, Old Blue Chair to me was a snapshot of my soul in a different place. and so those two songs, I go back, those three, I wrote all three of those songs without a co-writer. It was just me, pen to paper, and it was a journal entry from me, from right here. And so those are the three songs that so far that I've written that are my favorites, probably. But that's the thing. I still love creating, and I sincerely hope that I haven't written my best song yet.
Oh yeah, I think there's more songs out there. I've heard some of the stuff that's coming. Get ready. It's going to be really good. Or as Eddie Montgomery used to say, we're going to put hurting on you. It's true. I mean, it's hard to talk about the book because there is so much in here. It's your grandmother's kitchen. It's
true,
being
though.
in this house, finding out you're going into the Country Music Hall of Fame.
Yeah, I
and
found out right over there.
Thinking somebody's sick.
Yeah, when you open up this book, if you haven't opened it up yet, you're going to be, like I said, me and my mom live with my grandparents. You're going to be in that kitchen, smelling all that food, listening to the music that, and how music started to weave itself into my life. You're going to be in that locker room with me in high school, my last high school game. You're going to see what that was like. You're going to be on stage with me and Joe Walsh and Jimmy Buffett and
in the car going to Myrtle Beach.
And you're going to be in a car going to Myrtle Beach on a senior trip. You're going to be on a bow of a boat in the Virgin Islands watching the most unbelievable sunset, and how my time there truly inspired me to create in a completely different way. And I don't think my life would be the same without that either. But when you crack open this book, you are going to be, Holly does a great job of putting your brain and everything right there beside me. And that's one of the things that I'm very proud of you and proud of.
Well, you stayed on the horse. Probably 100 hours of interviews, 5 or 6 cities.
Yeah.
However many hours of story time.
We wrote the most of this book in Key West, probably.
The largest chunk.
Some in Virgin Islands, some in California, some here in Nashville.
Some in Florida, a lot in Florida.
We wrote a lot of this book in Florida, yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, it was important for you to touch down everywhere that was important to you and informed your journey. So that was part of it. And then part of it was...
I mean, in retrospect, we should have gone to my grandmother's house and did some of the interview on her front porch. That would be the one thing I would change. Maybe next time.
There'll be another book. Yeah. I think he's liked this more than he thought he was going to.
I did. I really enjoyed the process. I really did. And Holly and I have been working on this book for, before it came out, like a year and 3 months, something like
15
that.
15 months.
So, which means she's my longest lasting relationship.
But not because of the book, just because. No, but the thing I was going to say, because we're probably starting to wind down, is one of my favorite memories. Kenny's done everything you can do pretty much in media. And Oprah called you, and she wanted to go do something that you'd never done before. And she had a bunch of ideas. Yeah,
Oprah Winfrey wanted me to, had invited us to do the show. And she wanted me to do like a first that I've never done. And they said, well, let's go throw out the first pitch at a Cubs game because it was Chicago, or that she knew I love the Red Sox and maybe the Red Sox. And I said, I've done both.
Yeah.
And she thought about something else. And so I said, let me think about it a second. And I said, what about if it's not me, but what my grandmother at the time was 88, I think, when we did this. I said, what about us do something and capture something my grandmother has never done? And she was, I think 88, but late 80s, and had never been on an airplane in her life. And Oprah loved the idea. So I went to Knoxville and picked up my grandmother, my Aunt Sharon, and my mother, and I flew her to Key West, Florida, just to have lunch at one of my favorite restaurants down there. And to see her, as we were landing in Key West, look out the window and see, she had never seen the ocean with all those different colors. And I watched her, and it was as if she was, she was 88, but it was like she was a child for the first time getting to see something that she had never seen. And I was so happy and proud that we did that. It meant the world to me. That's my favorite memory with my grandmother. But in this book, you're going to be on that ride with us. And she loved iron skillet cornbread. And,
we're nervous about the cornbread.
And so she didn't believe that anybody can make cornbread as good as hers. But she loved it, and she loved the key lime pie. She loved everything. And it was one of those moments that I truly treasure as a bonding moment with my grandmother later in her life.
So that's in the book too. So if you're watching Talk Shop Live, type the word shop, super easy. You can do that if you're on Facebook, if you're on Instagram, use the word shop. And then if you're on YouTube, just look for the link right there, click it. There'll be an autographed copy. Whether you love music, whether you love sports, whether you love positive, uplifting, empowering narratives, there's something in here for everyone. And the pictures are amazing. Oh, there you are with Megan Maroney.
Oh, there we are.
Yeah, I mean, it's the whole journey from him being a little boy with a plastic guitar on Christmas morning to this guy right here.
The guy with the real guitar. So thank you guys very much. I really appreciate all of you being a part of this journey. I'm very proud of Heart Life Music, my first book. Proud of the fact that it went #1 on the New York Times bestsellers list. That is just insanity to think about. So thanks to you guys for that.
Does it make you feel better about your doctorate?
Yeah, it does a little bit.
Yeah. So this is your chance. We don't, like, there's not enough good to say except thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much, everybody. Merry Christmas, and hope you have a great holiday season.
Ho, ho, ho.